how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Disney. Disney gets humiliated again by one of their actors attacking them openly on Twitter for canceling and then destroying, decimating, erasing his show. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate you guys. What has Disney done this time? Well, coming from Yahoo and the Wrap, Warrick Davis, star of Willow, asks Disney what he's supposed to tell Willow fans who miss his show. He says it's embarrassing. Now, he means to say it's embarrassing when people ask him about the show and he doesn't know how to tell them to get to see the show because Disney pulled the show off of Disney Plus. That's how badly the show did. Disney figured out, you know something? We can get a tax credit and we can make it appear like we're making a bigger profit than we actually are if we cancel and destroy the show. I'll explain that a little bit later. But Warrick Davis needs to know because people are asking on Twitter, what should we do to see your show? Warrick Davis has a question for Disney and they probably aren't going to like it. On Saturday, the Willow star tweeted, quote, I meet lovely people on a daily basis who are fans of Willow, who are the reason that Disney Plus series was made. Please tell me, Walt Disney Company, what do I say when these subscribers ask, why can't they watch the series anymore? Hashtag embarrassing. Look, Warwick, this is a whole financing thing. Disney spent $105.9 million making your show. Probably a little bit more than that, but that's what they reported. The show didn't do well. People didn't like it. Of course, the show couldn't just be a continuation of the aesthetic and the brand developed as the Willow movie. It needed to be updated for modern audiences. And you'll see by some of the comments on Yahoo, and by the way, the people on Yahoo are lefties. They're not righties. They're pretty brutal about this. So I really like their comments. I'll cover some of them. People just didn't like the show. Disney removed the original series from its streaming service, Disney Plus, in May, only 6 months after the show began airing. The decision left the sequel to the 1988 movie effectively homeless and a legion of subscribers disappointed. Willow creator Jon Kasdan has not been a detractor of the move. On the contrary, Kasdan said a week after the show's purge that reminded him of his youth when Disney movies were hard to find. Quote, I've been quiet on this news that Willow is leaving Disney Plus cause I'm kind of into it, tweeted Kasdan, whose account on the platform has since closed. Quote, I grew up at a time when Disney movies were periodically re-released and not available to own, and it made them more special. I worry about many things, but none of them are that Willow will never be available again, either on Disney Plus or perhaps someplace else. And you never know where that could lead. Stranger things have happened. So grateful for all the love and enthusiasm. It's truly what keeps these worlds alive. What a nice, positive, optimistic post from someone who'd like another multi-million-dollar contract from Disney in the future. Good move, Kasdan. You're not a dum-dum. Not so sure about Warwick, though. You don't publicly criticize the people who are writing you checks, because if you do that, you're not going to get checks in the future. That's just a little bit of Adam Post feedback for everyone. On Saturday, fans of the series were quick to jump back into the conversation as SW Escape Podcast tweeted, Disney Co., own up to making this awesome show and give it back. Twitter user @LeppyLaddie added that the series is the reason he signed up for Disney Plus in the first place. He wrote, quote, it's a shame right when it was getting good, Disney pulled the plug. I honestly only signed up for Disney Plus to watch the Willow official series. The cast and crew deserve better. Should at least release the show on DVD or Blu-ray for the fans. Do you know why they can't release the show on DVD or Blu-ray? Well, there's a very simple reason for that. Because to get the tax credit that Disney took trying to copy what Warner Brothers Discovery did so successfully, Disney had to say, this show that we spent $105.9 million on was a complete waste of money. They, quote, charged it off. It's an accounting term to say this was a disastrous capital investment we made. We cannot recoup it. We can't pay it off over time. We can't depreciate it, which is normally what happens when you buy intellectual property like a TV show or a film. Disney would take 5 or 10 years, and then over that period of time, in roughly equal installments, they would expense it out and say, okay, if we spent $100 million over the course of 10 years, it would be $10 million a year they can take as an expense. Disney, to save money on their taxes, but also to falsely make it look like their streaming service was more profitable, took a $2.4 billion charge against their streaming service expenses, against their content they produced for their streaming services. So then in future quarters, they could report, oh, we don't have any content expense or much less content expense because they took the expense in the first quarter. It would be kind of like if you went grocery shopping for the year in the first quarter of the year or the first month of the year and then didn't have any other grocery expenses for the rest of the year. I know it's a little strange. It's public company accounting. It's manipulating numbers. It is completely legal, but that's what they did. That's why when they say the show is worthless, we had to charge off the whole expense. We can't do it over 5 or 10 years. We have to do it right now because we can't use this show. That's why it can't appear on DVD or Blu-ray or really any other format because they told the government for tax purposes it was worthless. Despite its popularity, Willow was axed because the series didn't meet the viewership expectations that Disney had set for it. Disney Plus also removed the platform's original series, The Mighty Ducks, Game Changers, and The Right Stuff. They removed a lot of content. It wasn't just a couple of shows. They reduced enough shows that they could come up with over a $2 billion tax credit. I would expect to see more tax credits like that and more shows get removed. Not Star Wars, not Marvel. Anything they think they can get away with, those kinds of things, not the more important name brand kinds of things. Taking a look at some of these comments, it was a really badly written show. It has main characters of Willow keep saying he's a worthless fraud of a wizard throughout the season. The Joss Whedon dialogue for the trolls, and they would end with remixes of modern songs for their modernized fantasy epic, which didn't fit. That's just some of the many problems the show had that kept it from having viewers. What should Warrick tell them when fans ask him why isn't the show available? Tom says, tell them because it was terrible. Shogun doesn't agree. Shogun says, at this point, every show should get 2 seasons. So many shows with great potential get canceled after the first season. And all I can think is, if there were a second season, they would have nailed it. Read the comments. People think a show should be great from episode 1. They have no idea a team that works well together must be built, can't be formed in a day. That's why most series that get canceled start getting good halfway through the season. Yeah, maybe, but if people aren't watching the show, they're going to take the tax credit. I mean, that's just kind of it. Sort of like if you go out to a restaurant and you order a meal and the meal tastes terrible and you've gotten halfway through it and you're like, well, I mean, maybe if I eat 4 or 5 more meals at this restaurant, eventually they'll get the food right. You're not going to finish the first meal, much less go back for additional meals when you know the food's no good. Star Strider says, the Willow movie was good. Willow the series on Disney was bad. I mean, that's pretty simple. You Can Quote Me says, this show had fans? Matthew says, oh right, the Disney Vault. I forgot about those days. They did used to take Disney's animated classics, play them, promote them, put them out in theaters, and then hide them for like 10 years. And then they would bring them back out and it would be like it was a new release and people would go see them and they'd bring their family and they'd bring their children and it would be a moment, and Disney doesn't do that anymore. Amber says, Willow's series had positive and negatives. The woke casting in medieval England didn't make sense. The script treatment was basically what J.J. Abrams did with Force Awakens. Rehash the same story, bring veteran cast, but add new faces, and of course the main ingredient, diverse cast of Asians, blacks, and Indians. Fail. And I see these kind of comments, and I understand what this person is talking about. It's not that you can't have Asians or blacks or Hispanics or whites or any other specific race or another race. It has to fit with the brand. If you're doing a story, for example, about monasteries in an ancient Asian culture, whatever the story might be, You would expect to see Asian people in that movie, etc., etc., etc. Tom Mirabella says, I was looking forward to it, but stopped about 8 minutes into the first episode. It was utter trash, and he should be embarrassed to be associated with it. Tom, that's pretty harsh, but clearly that's the way you feel, and I salute you. Kevin says, the only thing that was embarrassing was the show itself. Perry says, I remember going to the movies and seeing Willow. It was a great action sci-fi movie. Kind of a fantasy movie, wasn't it? The problem with the TV series, like so many other shows, is it was dragged out and didn't get to the point like the movie. In my opinion, Willow should have been maybe a 3-part or 6-part episode like Star Wars shows like Boba Fett series. This may anger and disappoint folks who wanted a TV show that was long, but it just wasn't getting to the point quick enough. Chip T says literally no one liked that show. The reason they are complaining is because they will no longer get residuals from the terrible show. People are over Disney. Ahsoka did horrible. It is true, Ahsoka did do badly. Steamed Ham says, if the show was about Willow and not a misdirection, it might have had a chance. And finally, WM8148 says, I grew up with the original Willow. I was so looking forward to the series, but I was totally disenfranchised after watching a few episodes. It didn't even feel like Willow. It felt like I was watching a teeny bopper fantasy show. I'm LGBT friendly, but I felt like adding that element into the show seems so superficial. Like it's supposed to be a goofy fantasy show, not a political statement. It was just so forced and cringy to watch. And then the music, oh my God, don't even get me started about how disappointed I was with the music. In the original movie, part of what made it so charming was the unique soundtrack. The series used modern rock metal covers? Like seriously? What were the producers thinking? The characters also felt so modern. It really did seem like you were watching Gen Zers doing really bad cosplay. Disney totally blew it with this. I wish Warrick Davis would have said to the producers, quote, you know, this has no semblance to the original movie. The series was total junk. A harsh comment, but a fair and on-target comment. Disney gets humiliated again, but this time from an actor who doesn't care what Disney thinks of him, because this is not the kind of thing you would openly say in public if you were concerned about ever getting work again from a big entertainment company like Disney. So good for Warrick Davis for having the guts to stand up and publicly say, I don't agree with you, Disney. You're making me look bad, Disney. I don't care if you ever give me more work again, Disney, or not. Good for him for being a tough guy. But in terms of maintaining business relationships, not such a smart move. Willow was canceled and written off for a total loss for a tax advantage because it was terrible, no one liked it, and the value of the intellectual property for Willow is essentially zero. Not because we don't want Willow to be successful, but because it was handled so badly, Disney destroyed it. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.